hardware, man. There's no plan here.
So you once had a conversation with Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, I should have, before I told you about the motorcycle in Europe, a strange things happened to me when I was hitchhiking down through England. A couple of guys picked me up and said, we're going to the Isle of Wight Festival, the third Isle of Wight Festival. Of course, I didn't know. I was drifting. I had no, itinerary or no. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's a huge festival with 500 bands or some ungodly thing. It's the Woodstock of Europe. And I said, well, fuck, I'll go. And they said, great. So we cruised on down, and thousands of people. When we got to the ferry boat, it was just choked with people to go to the Isle of Wight. It's an island, obviously. And so we drifted into this place, and there was a penned-off area. It's beautiful, beautiful island, and lovely rolling hills, and the town is a quaint English town. And they were going to have a zillion bands. And I could not understand why there would be a zillion bands here, but I don't suppose it was any different than a zillion bands in Woodstock, New York. But in any case, it was $10. It was $10 to go to this thing. So I pay my $10, and actually, yeah, what we had to do was set up some sort of camp before. And I just had a sleeping bag, so I was sleeping under some trees. I found a little nook. But you can't even imagine. This wasn't 500,000 people. This was 300,000 people. You can't even imagine how many people 300,000 is. I couldn't even, it's a staggering amount of people. I mean, trying to move out of there to get back and go to sleep under my tree, it was just stepping over one body after another body after another body after another body. It was endless. And you didn't even finish when you got to your tree. You just fell down and there were bodies everywhere. It was astonishing. But and I don't know quite how this happened, but I ended up in bed with a Kresge daughter. You know Kmart? Ever heard of Kmart?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, Kmart.
I believe I've shopped there before.
Yeah.
I like their ices.
How the hell did that happen? So I met this girl, and she indicated to me that she was a Kresge, which I knew they used to call those department stores Kresges before. In the old days, in the 50s, it was called Kresges, and I knew the name, and I'm related to the Kresges, and so it was dark-haired beauty, and I don't know. She just was in my sleeping bag with me. Christ knows, it was 1,000 years ago. And we had an evening, a delightful evening, and then sort of drifted apart, as one did in those days.
Yeah. Did at some point in the night did you ask? So what do you think about Kmart?
It wasn't even called Kmart then. It was still Kresge's. That wouldn't even occur to me to even ask. I thought, yeah, hope she wants to fuck.
But
that
gave her the blue light special light.
Yes, we did have a moment. In any case, we go in with the group, and I happen to be quite up front, so I'm really close to the stage, maybe 100 and 120 feet back, which was astonishing. And they start with these bands, and I was just absolutely bedazzled by them. Because I'd never seen any of these bands before. I'd seen the music, but I wasn't ever a concert-going guy, I didn't pursue this stuff and worship this stuff and get down on my knees and genuflect to these musicians. It just wasn't a thing I did. Wow, that's a nice song. I wouldn't even associate it with an individual. So Chris, we go into this, but first Chris was first. So Chris gets up on the stage, and it's in the afternoon, and he's playing his heart out, and he sounds great to me. But the Europeans are just, when they didn't like somebody, they started whistling. Psst, psst, psst. All these whistles were coming out of the audience, and that meant that they didn't like him. And I thought, Jesus, why don't they like this? This is good. This is, folk rock. This is good stuff. So he's all ground out and grumpy, and they're whistling and causing a problem, and they stop playing, and I stand up and I yelled, "That was fabulous, man!" And Christopherson yells back, "Thank you, man. That's the best response we got all night." That was my discussion with Chris Christopherson.
All right.
And oddly enough, later in some song, he mentioned how rude the people from the Isle of Wight were, but he didn't mention that one was particularly kind.
Yes. So I remember you told me about a favorite shirt of yours that you were wearing at that
The
time.
shirt story. This cannot happen. This cannot happen. I'm in this monstrous crowd, and we're just toked up out of our minds on hash. They were selling hash everywhere. Everybody was blitzed and mumbling and taking acid, and somebody handed me a giant hash pipe, and they stuck it. In those days, they just stuck it in your face until your eyes started spinning, you know. And I lost my favorite turtleneck shirt that was all covered with, bleach stains, on
Tie-dye.
purpose, tie-dye more or less, in a funky sort of way. And I lost it, and I was just heartbroken. So, when people started to leave, I got to tell you about the drummers. The drummers are so fabulous. They were just so astonishing. They were all taking speed, I'm sure. And I can't even, I know the bands that were there, but I cannot tell you in succession the drummers. These drummers went bullshit. They created this incredible competition between each other, and I'm sure they each had 5 hits of speed. But they started every one of these sets, whether it was Jethro Tull or whether it was The Who or whether it was Christ knows who else. I don't even know the list of bands that were there. I didn't commit it to memory, but they would give their drummer the floor, and these guys, I suppose it was because I was stoned on hash, but they were just wailing their hearts out. I just so remember that, and that was in 1970. That was in 1970. I was hardly alive. And these drummers were wailing and pounding and so crazed, like madmen, like crazy, insane madmen. I have to do better than that last son of a bitch or I'll die. It was so phenomenal to watch these guys. I couldn't wait till the next one to come on.
Yeah.
In any case, my shirt had gone missing for obvious
So
reasons.
there you were, hanging out, smoking hash, shirtless.
Shirt.
Which
No, I
probably-
had another shirt. I just lost my best shirt. And so, in any case, thing's over in 5 days. I lasted the whole time. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to wait till all these people leave. All 300,000 of them, and see if they didn't take my shirt with them. All 300,000. So, that morning, I just wait, and they just start drifting off. And way late into the afternoon, there is one tent sitting in the middle of this field. So I go over to this tent, and I look in this tent. It's got a straw base. I'm totally exhausted. And nobody's around. Everybody's gone. They deserted this tent. So I climb in this tent, and I go to sleep for about 5 hours. I wake up and there's not another living soul around. It's like a World War II, dead, no man's land.
Yeah.
Muck and shit and mess and there's my shirt, right 100 feet from the stage. My shirt. I couldn't even believe my great good fortune. My shirt. I even have a photograph of myself with that shirt.
I'd love to see that. And thank you, Kmart.
Thank you, Kmart.
You guys got a frame?
Right. 1,000.
So, John, who was your very favorite, or what was your favorite kind of? Let's start over. Okay.
Yeah, go
Take a
ahead.
pause. 1.
Cut the pussy and then continue.
Okay.